Welcome to Rising Coaches with Sofia Bernardi. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that are stopping you from scaling to 30K months in your business. And I wanted to be really intentional with these 5 things, not generic things like know your niche, have your offer, blah, blah, blah. Things that you are doing potentially that you may not even realize you're doing that are hindering your growth so much. So let's just get straight into it because I'm really excited about the 5 things that I'm going to be sharing. And I know that I am so known to go on tangents with some of these things. So the first thing that you may not realize that you're doing is that you are dabbling instead of mastering. Now, I see this a lot, and I can say this with so much love because I was once this person. I used to be the dabbler. So let me give you some context. When I started my business, I thought that there was this magic secret to success. And what I now know to be true is that the reason I thought that and believed that is because that's what I was fed in marketing. Like, this is the secret. This is the missing secret. Watch this episode. Download this training to learn the 3 secrets. There's all of this marketing. And I'm not against it necessarily. Like, people just have strong beliefs on what supported them. And that's been their secret that they've unlocked. But because of that marketing, I really started to believe that I am missing something. There is something that I don't know. And when I find out this thing, everything's going to blow up and be so amazing. Does anyone else experience this? Because that was me. And it was a very costly, no regrets, but costly belief that I had. I invested in so many courses and events and masterminds and group programs and one-on-one programs thinking that this is the secret to success. And what I realized after investing hundreds of thousands of dollars is that a lot of the programs I joined actually had a lot of the same stuff on the inside. They all taught niching and your offer and, certain generic strategies that were across the board. Like, a lot of the programs had the same information. They just had their unique way and spin on going about it, some of which I resonated with more than others. And again, that's totally fine. And then definitely there were certain investments that I made where they were talking about this one specific strategy in particular. And I found from this experience that there were lots of things that I didn't align with. I didn't align with cold DMing or messaging 100 or 1,000 people a day or cold calling or, doing Instagram shout outs or especially in the beginning stages of my business, like Facebook ads, nor would I recommend that for a new coach, by the way. But certain programs absolutely teach that because they're just teaching what they know and what works for them. And so This was huge. And the reason why I say this comes under a mistake of dabbling is because I was thinking that there was this missing secret. Instead of committing to one process and going all in on one process and getting extremely good at it, I would get into the program, I would implement it and I would commit to it, but then I would start to feel like I'm still missing this secret because I would be following so many coaches and they're sharing all these secrets, so I'd invest in another thing. And then if you're investing your time and energy into too many places, you can't be a master of all things, right? What's that saying? If you try and chase 2 rabbits, you'll catch none, right? Instead, you need to commit to one and go all in on that. And so that's why I was dabbling, because I was following so many coaches, I was in so many programs, and I was jumping from one thing to next because it wasn't like just scaling my business in 5 seconds after using it. And so I was dabbling, right? It actually requires mastery these days to make it as a coach, especially now in today's economy and with how much more aware people are after having been scammed or let down or betrayed or overpromised in certain programs. And also just from the coaching industry being a lot more normalized now. Like, there's a lot more coaches, there's a lot more people looking for coaches. And so because of that, average will no longer cut it, right? You actually have to be a master. And so not only do you have to be a master as a coach, so having real authority in your niche and in what it is you help people with, but you need to be a master in your marketing as well, because that's how you find people and that's how people find you, right? So you actually have to master it. And if you're trying to be everywhere, doing everything at once and dabbling in so many different strategies, most of which probably feel unaligned to you, it's going to be really, really difficult to grow. So if you want to scale to 30K months at a minimum, and beyond, and if that feels really far away from you right now, please know that it is so within reach, the moment that you believe that it is and act accordingly, it'll come into fruition. But if you're like, whoa, that's a distant dream, that's so far away, that's so good, like too good to be true, then it's not going to be a reality, is it? You have to actually believe that it's possible. You have to be able to hold it, and you have to have a strategy that's going to attract it as well, right? You need the right systems, you need the right support, you need a sales process, you need a strategy in place, right? So you need all of these things. And when you have that, plus paired with you believe that it's possible for you, you will create it. But you need to be a master, okay? And so I'm all about simplicity and sustainability and scalability. And I say this to my clients all of the time. We want to make decisions in our business from this lens. If it's not sustainable, it's not scalable, and it's not simple, then we shouldn't do it. Right? We have to focus on mastery. And so we don't want to be doing an unnecessary amount of things from this belief of like, the more I do, the more money I'm going to make, because that's not necessarily the truth. It's actually about doing less, very strategically and intentionally, and do that better. Okay? And to do that, we've got to focus on one thing and master it rather than dabbling and being everywhere. So if you're in the earlier stages, you're not even at 10K months yet, you should not be on all social media platforms trying to show up everywhere, trying to learn from 5 different coaches. One saying be on Facebook, one saying be on TikTok, one saying be on Instagram, one saying do this, one saying do that. Like, no, there is not one secret right be all end all way. The way that I teach my clients is, now that I've been in so many programs and learned all of the ways, what I actually do is I teach them and educate them on what attracting your audience actually is, what nurturing your audience actually is, and what converting your audience actually is. And I give them a whole range of options and give them the how-to for all of those options so they can pick what actually aligns with them. I'm so frustrated and sick of hearing people say that they've joined programs and being taught strategies that don't feel good for them. And then they wonder why they're not growing, why they're not scaling. Okay? It has to feel good for you. And I'm not saying it always has to be comfortable and fun and games and you should never feel resistance, especially if it's your first time doing or learning something. Of course that's going to be there. But if it feels like genuinely like it's crossing your values and your integrity and it's draining you on a daily basis because it doesn't, match and reflect like who you are at your core, then that's a problem. So dabbling instead of mastering. If you are a dabbler, you're coach hopping from coach to coach, and that's okay to a degree if we're just looking for our right coach. Sometimes we've got to kiss a few frogs till we find our prince, right? And so it's okay if you're doing that. But if it's a pattern where you're like, oh, I didn't get instant gratification, on to the next coach, you're a dabbler, you're a coach hopper, good luck to you. You've got to commit. I've worked with my coach for years and years in a row, and that's been really, really supportive for my growth because it's allowed me to commit to something and master something. So that's number 1. Number 2 that you may be doing that is holding you back so much more than you realize is making slow decisions. We want to fail fast and learn fast. If you're a fence sitter, you overthink decisions for 100 years, then don't be surprised if you never get to where you want to be. I am where I am because of the speed at which I move at. And the same is for my top performing clients. They are the ones that take action. They make decisions fast, they process things, that they take action fast. People that need to sit on their niche for 5+ months before they commit to it. And I'm not saying it's not okay to change your mind. It is. I've changed my mind many times in my life and in my business. That's okay. But you kind of want to do that fast almost, rather than sitting on the fence for so long and setting up shop in your business for like months and months. Like, I have literally had conversations with people that told me that they're going to be committing a whole year just to finish their offer. I'm like, oh my goodness, this could be done in a day. And not from a careless place, from a place of, if you have the right support and the right process, this doesn't need to be something that takes you forever. There are so many coaches in the industry that make money so quickly in their business because they don't overthink these things. They go out and they help people. They have conversations. They add real value and they make offers, right? I understand you want to have this amazing offer and you want to have it packaged and priced and set up and all of these beautiful things. I get that. I'm a Virgo. I'm a perfectionist. I get it. And those qualities do not serve me in my business. Progress over perfection, always. That is my motto. I have to remind myself of that because I totally fall into that organized perfectionism category. I think many of us do, right? And it's not going to support you. So if you make slow decisions, even in investing in yourself, if you have to sit on the fence and think about it and compare to 15 different coaches before you make a decision, like said with so much love, it's going to take you a long time to grow. You have to learn how to trust yourself and move quicker. Because by the time you actually make a decision, in that time, you could have made tens of thousands of dollars. You could be so much further ahead with your following, with your engagement, with your brand. You could be helping clients, creating the real impact you're after, and you'd be feeling better. With the right support and the right system, those things are all possible. I have a client who literally has made $272,000 in 5.5 months of working with me. And when she started working with me, she was at $0. She started her business when she started working with me, and she has made that. Some of you take 5.5 months to make one decision. So technically speaking, if we look at that example alone, it is costing you $272,000 to make a decision. That's scary to think about. And this might be triggering some of you. And if it is, like, again, I'm saying it with so much love because I want to help you. If I didn't want to help you, I wouldn't be saying this. I would say love and light, you do you, live your best life, think about things for as long as you want, dabble in everything. Like, I wouldn't be telling you these things. I'm telling them to you because I've been there, I've done them, and it held me back. And I'm not just like sharing things with you that have just come from my experience. I don't think that's healthy either, just to project that on. This is also a pattern that I see, not just with my past self, but also with so many of my clients, and it's so many of my potential clients and my audience. I hear of this stuff all of the time. And so I'm literally making an episode based on these comments and these messages that I get sent all of the time. And that's not something I'm just saying. I speak to coaches every day, all day, every day. This is the stuff I hear, right? And so we want to make fast decisions. Trust yourself. Build the trust in yourself to fail fast and learn fast. The most successful people out there, they're not people that have never failed. They've actually failed more than all of us combined. They eat your failure for breakfast, right? That is why they are where they are, okay? I don't even know what failure is inside your business. Like, you can't really fail. The only thing that I would consider a failure is if you, for example, want to do something and you don't. Like, you want to grow your business, but you quit because you can't figure it out or whatever. I would see that as a failure. But making a quote unquote mistake, things taking a long time, things being harder than they need to be, that's not failure. That is entrepreneurship. That is learning. That is growing. That is evolving. But when you want to do something and you choose to give up on it, like with, because of fear or because of you can't do this, or you've been stuck for too long because you haven't sought help or found a way to invest in yourself, that's more like failure from my perspective. And who cares if it's failure? Like, it doesn't actually matter, right? But if you do worry about that stuff or whatever, like, you can't, like, it doesn't matter if you do a launch and no one buys. Like, that's not failure. That's like, you've learned some amazing lessons there, and we all go through those moments and those times. Like, that's okay. Like, that, I celebrate that more. You showed up even when it wasn't working. That's amazing, right? So making slow decisions will absolutely stop you from making 30K months. Like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K months. Like, that is happening from people that move. They move quickly, and that is why they are where they are. Now, the third thing that is stopping you from scaling to 30K months is not being an energetic match for what it is you want. You are saying one thing and doing another. So if you ever tell yourself, I'm going to show up 5 times this week, and then you don't, you're not being a match for the standard that you're setting. Someone that is making 30K months has no issues with consistency. They are showing up consistently in their business. Trust me, right? 30K months comes to those who move. You've got to be an energetic match for it. So if you're ever saying one thing and you're doing another, that is where there's going to be this energetic mismatch, and you're not going to be able to create what it is you want. If you want to create certain results or situations or experiences in your life, you have to be an energetic match for that. Okay, so this is all about integrity. This is all about congruency. This is all about consistency. This is all about standards. So I want you to get a piece of paper out and write down, what does the $30,000 per month version of me look like? How does she show up? How does she make decisions? How does she move? How does she learn? How does she grow? How does she show up during challenges? How does she invest in herself? And then ask yourself, once you've written all of that out, and be really honest with yourself. Do not write who you are now and where you're at now. Ask yourself the $30,000 version of yourself per month. How do they show up in life and in business, and be really detailed? And then your only job is to go and become that person. So if the $30,000 per month version of you has no fear in investing in themselves, or they consistently invest in long-term mentorship, and you're not doing that, there's an energetic mismatch. I would look into that if I were you. And that goes for everything, right? So it's really, really important that you are a match for what it is you want. I see so many new coaches all the time. I just want 100K a year. And then I'm like, all right, can you post 5 times a week? Oh no, I've only got a couple of hours a week because I've got 3 children. Okay, well, look, someone making $100,000 in corporate is working 9 till 5 every day, right? Like and so then if you can't find time in your day because of insert excuse, it's not just kids, it could be anything. Some people say it's because they're working full time, or because they're too busy, or because to this. Honestly, like, I'm giving you some tough love today. If it is a priority, you will find a way. I was once working 60 hours a week, every week, across 5 different jobs, like looking after kids every day and doing their homework and putting them to bed and cooking them dinner, and then going to another job after that. And I was at a job before that, and all the things every day. If I can find time to grow and start my business under those circumstances, then so can you. And I know, I can't speak from experience on motherhood, but I have friends, I have family, I have clients that have children. That example that I just shared with you of my client who's made $272,000 in 5.5 months has children, several children. She finds a way. She also had another business as well that she was running outside of the coaching industry. If there is a will, there is a way, okay? Under all circumstances, I have seen it work for people. Single parents. I've got plenty of clients that are single mothers of children that they homeschool, and they make $15,000 to $20,000 a month whilst traveling with them. Like, all circumstances I've seen. So you have to, like said with love, you have to put your excuses and the victim mentality to the side if you want to grow. People making $30,000 a month are taking radical self-responsibility for themselves and their lives and their results. And that sucks sometimes. It really does, that it's always on us, but it is. And knowing that is so, so helpful. And that's why having support is so, so helpful. So we've got to be an energetic match for what it is we want. If we want to have the 6-figure years or the 30K months, we have to be willing to do what is required. And if we can't be consistent in that, or own that, or show up for that, then we're just simply not a match for it, and we're not going to get it. Okay? And I think, unfortunately, in the coaching industry, because these terminologies of 10K months while sitting on the beach, or this and that months with so much ease whilst on the plane or traveling, by the way, of which I've said many of these things because they have been my truth, but it's up to the individual to not make that mean something false. Like, you have to have initiative in how you receive some of those messages and posts and so forth. But because of that sort of languaging and marketing that goes on around there, I think people have really unhealthy expectations that you do just get to sit on the beach and make money, and you do just get to do nothing and open your phone and you should see money rolling in. That is the reality for the people that have spent years and years and years building a brand, building authority, showing up, playing full out, and leaning in. Okay, and so yes, it is possible, but they have done the work required, the true uncomfortable, messy, sometimes hustle work to become a match for it, and they've been able to stabilize and normalize that where it is effortless, that they can do those things whilst on a walk. They can do those things whilst at the beach. They can do those things because they're paying for Wi-Fi and business class on the plane. Like, that's where it becomes possible. Do you think they started like that? Absolutely not. But because they're an energetic match for it, it feels easeful and they're able to go and create that. But you at day one, or you in the early stages of business, or you pre 10K months, 20K months, 30K months, like, you have to earn it. You have to become a match for it. You have to make that your standard. I didn't just start my business and make 10K months. It took me a long time. I don't know the exact day or time frame, so I can't speak into that, but it took me months and months and months and months and months of hard work, crying myself to sleep, struggling, trying to learn how to be consistent in the most basic things. And it used to take me 8 hours to write 5 posts for the week. It took my whole Sunday was consumed sitting at a desk, forcing myself to try and figure out how to write 5 posts. It was so hard. Now I can write 30 posts in 2 hours because of the consistency and being 5 years into this, right, of doing it. And so, you've got to have healthy expectations with some of these things as well. That's the third point. Can you see I'm very passionate about this topic and have a lot to say on it? The fourth point is doing it alone. Now, this is absolutely stopping you from scaling to 30K months. I'm not saying it doesn't exist out there, but I personally don't know anyone that is making that without having support. I just don't know of it. I only know of people that are in masterminds or group programs or one-on-one programs, and they're being supported consistently. Doing it alone is not only stopping you, but it's slowing you down from the growth and the joy. I experience joy more often than not in business. I have hard days and hard moments and hard minutes and whatever, but I am so much faster at moving through that than I was, a couple of years ago, for sure. But the only reason that I'm okay with it is because, and can navigate it, is because I surround myself in masterminds where, when I'm going through a challenge and I open up about that, I see that, there's hundreds of other people that have experienced this as well. Maybe it's not a me thing. Maybe I'm not alone in this. Maybe everything's actually going to be okay. So we don't want to do business alone. We want to be a part of a mastermind where we can connect and have our experiences normalized by other people doing big things in the space, because you are who you spend the most time with. So you want to surround and immerse yourself with not just one, but many people playing the game of entrepreneurship that you are playing. Really, really important. The fifth and final thing that is stopping you or slowing you down from scaling to those 30K months and beyond is not trusting yourself. It is so important that you develop self-trust. And self-trust doesn't mean never listen to anyone, never invest in yourself, don't learn from other people. No, trusting yourself means that you are going to follow through on the things that you say you're going to do. I sometimes hear people say, I'm too scared to invest in a program because I know myself, I don't show up and I don't follow through. Then learn to build self-trust that you will, rather than letting a current limiting belief of yours stop you from progressing and growing so much in your life and in your business. Trusting yourself is that you're going to follow through on the commitments you make. You're going to follow through on what you say you're going to do. I make all of my clients every single week submit their goals to me, and every single one of my clients need to do this. They need to submit their goals, and they need to share whether they reached their goals from the previous week. They have to own that every week, whether they did that or not. And that is so powerful and so important. It's so important that they have to own, oh yeah, I said I was going to do these 5 things and I didn't do them. They have to own that, because if you can't own it, you can't move through it. So they have to reflect on last week's goals and set new goals. And you learn so much from yourself by doing that process. It's very, very powerful. So in summary, the 5 things that are stopping you from scaling to 30K months is dabbling instead of mastering, making slow decisions, not being an energetic match for what it is you want, doing it alone, and not trusting yourself. They're the 5 things. I see them so often, and it's so frustrating because I want all of us coaches to rise and to thrive and to succeed in this space. And it is possible if you get out of your own way. You move on the other side of these very common things that I see all of the time, and instead you have the right system and the right support. If you would like my help with the support and the system, that is exactly what I offer inside my program, Scale School. Scale School is a 12-month program with the opportunity to re-sign like many have. But in this time, you are going to learn the scalable system. You are going to learn a sustainable strategy that feels good and works. You are going to learn a seamless sales process. So you have a number of ways that you can sell so that you can sign clients every single week in your business. And you're going to learn the simple systems on how I can hold large amounts of wealth and impact and clients and create so much freedom from these very systems. Simple systems, might I add. That is what you are going to learn inside Scale School. And I'm going to hold your hand and support you every step of the way with this high touch, high accountability, incredible space where we've got 140 different coaches, all different niches, all different stages of business that are killing it in the space. And I would love to have you with me. If you're a listener of this podcast, I already love you. Like if you love me on the podcast, then you're going to love the program because this is my energy, but on steroids in there. I give so much of my love and my time. It's the only way you can work with me. So I go really deep and I go really far with my clients in that space. So if you would like to work with me, I would love to have a quick call with you just to make sure we're the right fit and it feels good for the both of us on both ends. So I'm going to leave a link in the show notes for you or the description below so that you can book a call with me. And otherwise, come DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm at Sofia Rose Bernardi and I would love to connect with you. And in the meantime, I hope that this episode has really served you. If it has, share it with some friends. That would mean a lot to me. And otherwise, I will see you in next week's episode. Bye. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took a moment to screenshot this episode, sharing what you think on your Instagram stories, tagging me at Sofia Rose Bernardi so that I can reshare it. And if you do, I'll send you a special resource exclusive for my podcast listeners to help you grow and scale your business. I'll see you in the next episode.